Hey everyone, today I want to talk about the biggest mistake young people make. I have the opportunity to sit down with a lot of young people, and I'm willing to do that because I want to see them get on track while they're young and not make a lot of the mistakes that I made and I see other people make. But one of the biggest mistakes young people make is they say this: I don't have to worry because I'm young. Whoa. I don't have to worry because I'm young. So do you realize what they're missing with that statement? They're missing one of the greatest assets they have, the most important assets they have, and it's irreplaceable. And you know what that is? It's time. They have time to put money into investments and see them grow for a very long period of time. I recently did a video about Warren Buffett, and I talked about the fact that he's been investing his entire life and he just turned 90 years old. And did you realize this? 95% of his wealth happened after he was 65. So imagine if you're 18, 19, 20 years old and you're just starting to invest, you're going to do well if you invest every year over a long period of time. So one of the mistakes I see young people make is they focus on income only. They focus on making a lot of money. It's important to have income and have a good career, but there's other elements that you need to focus on. First of all, you could have great income, but if your expenses are too high, it's not going to matter. Doctors and lawyers are famous for having great income, but also having great expenses. So I've seen people with very low income that control their expenses and have done well in time. The other element of this is knowing the difference between an asset and a liability. When you buy an asset, it's going to grow in value over time. When you buy a liability, it's going to decrease in value over time. One of the great educators in the world today talks about if it puts money in your pocket, it's an asset. If it takes money out of your pocket, it's a liability. Now, what is an asset? It could be a stock, it could be a mutual fund, it could be real estate, it could be a business. There's all kinds of things that are assets. Now, on the liability side, what are we talking about? We're talking about cars. We're talking about computers. We're talking about that things that depreciate, lose value over time. Your expenses and everything you do lose value over time. A liability is taking money out of your pocket. Boats are a liability. And so you have to be very aware of what you're buying and where you're putting your money. How much of your money you're putting in assets and how much your money is going to liabilities, things that are going to depreciate in value. The biggest mistake they make is in the area of education, not educating themselves on things like income versus expenses and assets versus liabilities. And so these kind of things are not taught in school. Believe it or not, finances are not taught in school. And so it's so important as a young person to educate yourself financially. And there's lots of great teachers in the world today. So the biggest mistake young people make is to not educate themselves and to continually learn year by year. Imagine you start at 18 or 20 years old and you learn a little bit every year. By the time you're 50, you're going to be way ahead of most people when it comes to financial education. You think about business education, financial, legal, and you don't need to become an attorney. You don't need to become a CPA to understand some basics about these areas. So the message today, the biggest mistake young people make is to think they don't need to educate themselves because they're young. And so I hope this message helps you today. Thank you for stopping by the channel today. Thank you so much for listening. If you would subscribe, it helps us out here at Clarion Advisors. Subscribe and hit the bell for new videos coming out. Thank you so much for your time. Bye for now.